The tranquility of the Kashmir Valley was shattered on April 22, 2025. A heinous terrorist attack in Pahalgam, orchestrated by Pakistan-backed groups, claimed the lives of innocent civilians and security personnel. This act of aggression demanded a resolute response, one that would demonstrate India's unwavering commitment to safeguarding its territorial integrity and its people. The Indian Navy, a formidable guardian of the nation's vast maritime frontiers, was entrusted with a critical role in this endeavor. Codenamed Operation Sindoor, the Navy's response was swift and purposeful. It aimed to deter further aggression and send a clear message that acts of terrorism would not go unanswered. The Indian Navy's preparations for Operation Sindoor were swift and meticulous. Within hours of the Pahalgam attack, naval assets were put on high alert, ready to be deployed at a moment's notice. The Navy's eastern and western fleets, comprising a formidable array of warships, submarines and aircraft, were brought to a state of peak operational readiness. These fleets, equipped with state-of-the-art weaponry and manned by highly skilled personnel, formed the backbone of India's maritime power projection. The Navy's leadership, drawing upon decades of experience and strategic acumen, meticulously planned every aspect of the operation. The gravity of the situation demanded a coordinated response, one that would leverage the combined might of India's armed forces. As the Navy set its sights on the Arabian Sea, the Indian Army and Air Force were also mobilized, their actions synchronized with the Navy's movements. This tri-service synergy, a testament to the high level of interoperability between India's armed forces, ensured a unified and cohesive response to the crisis. The Indian Navy's deployment in the Arabian Sea was not merely a show of force, it was a calculated move aimed at exerting strategic leverage. The Arabian Sea, home to vital sea lanes of communication and Pakistan's southern maritime border, provided the Indian Navy with a strategic advantage. The Navy's presence in this crucial maritime domain allowed it to effectively monitor Pakistani naval activity and be poised to respond to any escalation. This forward deployment, a key tenet of maritime strategy, allowed the Indian Navy to seize the initiative and dictate the terms of engagement. As the Indian Navy's warships set sail, their every move was tracked by Pakistani surveillance systems. The sudden surge in Indian naval activity in the Arabian Sea sent ripples of concern through the Pakistani military establishment. Pakistan's naval command found itself on edge, acutely aware of the formidable force arrayed against them. The Indian Navy, in a display of its operational reach and combat readiness, deployed a multi-dimensional task force to the Arabian Sea. This formidable fleet, spearheaded by the Navy's aircraft carriers INS Vikramaditya and INS Vikrant, included a potent mix of destroyers, frigates, corvettes, and submarines. Each vessel, a marvel of modern naval engineering, was equipped with an array of sophisticated weaponry, including supersonic anti-ship missiles, long-range surface-to-air missiles, and torpedoes. The aircraft carriers, floating air bases bristling with MiG-29K fighter jets, provided the Indian Navy with air superiority over a vast swathe of the Arabian Sea. These fighter jets, capable of launching precision strikes against enemy warships and land targets, significantly enhanced the Navy's offensive capabilities. The deployment of nuclear-powered submarines, lurking silently beneath the waves, added another layer of deterrence to the Indian Navy's posture. These submarines, armed with long-range ballistic missiles capable of striking targets deep within enemy territory, served as a potent reminder of India's second strike capability. The Indian Navy's deployment was not merely about amassing firepower, it was about demonstrating the capability to effectively utilize that firepower. To ensure that its personnel and equipment were ready for any eventuality, the Navy conducted a series of intensive exercises in the Arabian Sea. These exercises, designed to simulate real-world combat scenarios, tested the Navy's ability to conduct anti-surface warfare, anti-submarine warfare, and air defense operations. Weapon firings, a crucial component of these exercises, allowed the Navy to validate the accuracy and effectiveness of its missiles, torpedoes, and other weapon systems. These exercises served a dual purpose. They honed the skills of the Navy's personnel while sending a clear message to Pakistan about India's military preparedness. The Indian Navy's deployment in the Arabian Sea was not just about military might, it was about sending a message. The message was clear and unambiguous. India would not hesitate to use all means necessary to defend its interests. This message was not lost on Pakistan. The Pakistani Navy, outmatched and outgunned, found itself confined to its harbours, unable to operate freely in the face of the Indian Navy's overwhelming presence. This confinement, a testament to the effectiveness of the Indian Navy's deterrent posture, significantly limited Pakistan's ability to escalate the conflict. The Indian Navy's deployment in the Arabian Sea was part of a larger, coordinated response to the Pahalgam attack. While the Navy's warships patrolled the waters off Pakistan's coast, the Indian Air Force carried out precision airstrikes against terrorist camps located across the line of control. These airstrikes, conducted with pinpoint accuracy, targeted infrastructure and training facilities used by terrorist groups operating from Pakistani soil. The aim was to dismantle the infrastructure of terror and disrupt the ability of these groups to launch further attacks against India. The Indian Army, deployed along the line of control and the international border, remained on high alert, ready to thwart any attempts by Pakistan to retaliate. The Army's artillery units, equipped with long-range guns and rocket launchers, were prepared to deliver a devastating response to any Pakistani aggression. This coordinated response, involving all three branches of the Indian Armed Forces, demonstrated India's resolve to combat terrorism and protect its citizens. The Indian government, in its public pronouncements, made it clear that its response was measured and proportionate. The emphasis was on targeting terrorist infrastructure and avoiding civilian casualties. This measured approach, in contrast to Pakistan's history of sponsoring cross-border terrorism, highlighted India's commitment to international law and its responsibility as a regional power. The Indian Navy's deployment in the Arabian Sea, while robust and resolute, was also calibrated to avoid escalation. The Navy's rules of engagement were clear: respond decisively to any provocation, but exercise restraint to prevent the situation from spiraling out of control. This delicate balancing act, requiring a combination of military strength and diplomatic finesse, was crucial in preventing a wider conflict. The Indian Navy's deployment in the Arabian Sea was not just about responding to a terrorist attack. It was about upholding the principles of peace and security in the region. The Navy's presence served as a deterrent against further aggression, ensuring the freedom of navigation in vital sea lanes and protecting India's economic interests. By taking a firm stand against terrorism, India aimed to create a more stable and secure environment for all countries in the region. The Indian Navy's Operation Sindoor, a testament to the country's maritime prowess, achieved its intended objective. The overwhelming display of naval might, coupled with the coordinated actions of the Indian Army and Air Force, forced Pakistan to reconsider its strategy. Faced with the prospect of a full-blown conflict on multiple fronts, Pakistan's military leadership blinked. After days of heightened tension and brinkmanship, Pakistan approached India with a request for a ceasefire. On May 10, 2025, a ceasefire agreement was reached between India and Pakistan. This agreement, brokered by international mediators, brought a fragile peace to the region. The Indian Navy, having successfully deterred further aggression, began a phased withdrawal from the Arabian Sea. However, the Navy's vigilance did not waver. Naval patrols continued to monitor Pakistani activity, ensuring that the ceasefire was maintained. The Indian Navy's experience during Operation Sindoor underscored the importance of maintaining a high level of operational readiness. The Navy's ability to rapidly deploy a potent task force to a distant theater of operations demonstrated its flexibility and adaptability. The lessons learned during this operation would undoubtedly shape the Navy's training and modernization programs in the years to come. Operation Sindoor served as a stark reminder that the threat of terrorism remains real and ever-present. The Indian Navy, as the guardian of the nation's maritime frontiers, stands prepared to counter this threat with unwavering resolve. The Navy's commitment to safeguarding India's interests, both at home and abroad, remains unshaken. As the sun sets on the Arabian Sea, casting long shadows over the warships returning to their home ports. One thing is clear. The Indian Navy, a silent sentinel, stands ready to defend the nation's interests whenever and wherever they are threatened.